Well, the best gaming moment of 2021, Scott Tailford.
Go on.
Comes in the best game of 2021, Returnal, by the way, no matter what anyone in this house right now,
or
the bigger house, which is the world, has to say.
We live in a society.
It is incredible, and the moment where it became my game of the year came during the 4th biome, which is relatively far in, and specifically that boss. The big lad's called Hyperion, and you have to climb this lovely broken down tower to get to him, and all the while this lush score plays in the background, this like organ score, this just excellent piece of music that you haven't really heard anything like until that point in the game, because previously it's been this kind of like droning synthy thing that is, you know, steeped in horror, and this kind of like darkly beautiful fantastical thing comes in. So you're climbing the stairs, and then you get up the stairs and you realise that this boss is actually the one playing the notes. He's gone full Piano Man on this massive organ that's just there for some reason, and it's completely mad. He's knocking out, you know, the Gary Barlow organic, shout out to anyone who gets that joke. He's doing the notes, and then you just enter this excellent boss fight that fills the screen with projectiles and colour, and it's proper epic, like in every sense of the word. And for me, that was the moment where Returnal wasn't just a really good game, it was like one of the best of the year. It was one of the most impactful. It had everything. It had the gameplay, it had the structure of the boss, it had the presentation, it had the music, everything just came together, and I was like, that's the moment of the year. I remember saying it when I was doing the review, I was like, that's the moment of the year, and nothing has beaten it since, and that was May, which is maybe, you know, a tell on the year as a whole, but the fact that that's, you know, stayed in my mind, and we've talked about it so much on videos and podcasts, I think is just quite remarkable for a game that nobody played.
Nobody finished. Anyway.
Nobody finished, yeah.
Did you feel like just finding Hans Zimmer and beating him up as he was like scoring on him?
I did a little bit. Like, I had Hans Zimmer in a headlock, and I would just like give him a little, you one of these, you know what I mean? Like, oh, Hans.
Hello, all of you beautiful people. Jules here, aka the sack of flour that looks like it's had the eye holes kicked into them and the piss kicked out of the rest of them. And I'm talking about my favourite gaming moment of 2021. And while there wasn't that many to choose from, to be fair, one stands above all else, heads and shoulders, and that is summed up in one word: Dread. Metroid Dread, that is, because hoo boy, what a game. Hoo boy, it is utter chef kiss, from its level design to the way that it expands out the story, the fact that it changes up the gameplay and adds in all of those sweet moves, and I'm just like, everything about this is delicious. And the fact that I got to play it on the Switch OLED system, which meant that it just looked so much brighter and clearer as well, meant that from start to finish, I was having the time of my life. Now, when I approached this game, I was thinking to myself, maybe I should have my expectations put a little bit low. No, I mean, just like, don't go in there thinking it's going to be the next coming of the Almighty. All right, just brace yourself for a bit of disappointment. And yet, after playing it for hour after hour, I was like, when's the disappointment actually going to kick in? When am I actually going to be upset with this game? And then it ended, and I was like, well, I guess I'm going back in for round 2 then. Because I wasn't disappointed in the slightest. Nothing of this game, no fat at all on it whatsoever. It is a lean, mean fighting machine, and I got the piss beaten out of me by it, and I loved it. Big up, Metroid Dread.
Could have been loads, could have been all the platinums I got, mate. I got like 33 this year.
I think you just got another one this morning, didn't you?
Yeah, just got another. No, but what it is, it's the best game moment. It's probably playing Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil 8 Village, Resident Evil Mummy chasing you simulator. Lol. I was a bit apprehensive going into it because I thought, is it just going to be mean vampires chasing horny people because they've been stuck in Summer? They see any sort of resemblance of anything attractive, like, yes, chase me, step on me.
That was the entire marketing campaign.
Yeah, and it was. And I mean, props to them for leaning into it and selling millions more. But what that game turned out to be is something that kind of like a dream, like kind of like going back to like a formula like a Resident Evil 4, but mixing it with 7, stirring it up a bit, adding some werewolves in there, and then throwing Chris Redfield in. And the moment for me, spoilers, I'm going to spoil this game, by the way, there's more than just the vampire, is when you become Chris Redfield, Christopher Redfield, the boulder punching arsehole, as he is referenced to in this game. And who knows how Heisenberg knows that he was punching boulders in Africa in a volcano to kill Albert Wesker. Anyway, when you play as Chris, when you become Chris and you leave Ethan for a little bit, and you just like you know, I was just like, I'm going to swear again, by the way. Get an assault rifle and just charge into the village and just mow down armies of these werewolves that have been causing you so much trouble for so long. And then they come near you, you just punch them because you're Chris Redfield. And you're like, what are you doing? Hello, I'm Chris Redfield. And you find out some nice little information that ties some, like, that shoehorns Mother Miranda into the lore. You know, you got your Oswald E. Spencer in there, like all that sort of stuff. Let's do a lore video right now. Let's not. But I really love that sequence where you're just Chris Redfield and you're just knocking anyone out you can.
How many shotguns did you have by the end of the game then?
Well, I've played a lot of Resident Evil games, so I know when you get a new shotgun, you sell the old one because you don't need it anymore.
Do you?
Yeah. That's my funniest gaming moment of the year. It's when I'm in a group chat with Scott and Josh, and Scott sends a picture of his inventory. He's got no money. He's at the very end of the game, and he doesn't know what to do. He's got all the shotguns. He's got all the shotguns fully upgraded, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't sell them and get some ammo.
Because I might need them.
How
to fight a boss.
You've only got two. It's not bloody Wolfenstein when you hold two shotguns. You go bam, 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 bam.
What if you only take specific ammo? I'm going to hang on.
No, there's only one type of shotgun.
Look, you might want to be in a village without 3 shotguns. I don't.
I've got my fists.
I want 5, to be honest.
My best gaming moment of 2021 is probably playing Inscription. Now, I didn't know too much about Daniel Mullins and his games before I got into it. Now I do. He is a meta genre-defying genius. I think that game is amazing. Inscription is my game of the year for this year. There was a fantastic moment during the first act, which is very Slay the Spire, if you don't know. It's roguelike, basically. And I just thought I couldn't do it. I just got to a point, I had been beating my head against a wall in this particular section, and I'd gone all the way back for what felt like the 40th time. And you got 2 lives, and I lost one of those lives almost immediately into this second run. And you got to get through like 4 of these maps. I lost it in like the first 3 tiles of the first map. So I gave it away. I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm doing this. I'll just go do something else this run. And that's when I pulled it out of the bag. I just pulled out a win. I changed my mindset and like managed to think about it in a way that I would never have thought about it. And I think that's really special. I love games that aren't like anything else I've ever played, and Inscription's really like that. And I don't want to spoil it for you, but play it if you're thinking about it.
The best moment of 2021 in the gaming sphere is every single Metroid Dread boss fight, because they went in, Mercury Steam went in, and Nintendo oversaw by Nintendo. Even though the majority of development was by Mercury Steam, they should be absolutely held up as doing a phenomenal job, and everyone just goes, it's Nintendo. It's not entirely them, it is Mercury Steam as well. But the way that they took what is, you know, a very well-known franchise, very well-known genre, a very, very old franchise at this point, and brought it back and modernized it in such a perfect way. Like, the actual way that you play Metroid Dread is so tight, it's so responsive, it just feels beautiful. It's such a perfect game to play, game of the year literally by an absolute landslide. But the thing that they did that really elevates it is in every single boss fight, if you get a parry right, like, you know, an enemy will flash, say you're up against Kraid, or one of my favorites is up against Experiment Z57 towards the end, at some point, one of those bosses will do some big move that will flash for a second on screen, and if you parry at the right time, you'll trigger a literally God of War style cutaway thing, like an interactive cutscene where all of a sudden Samus, the camera changes, it's not side on, it'll follow the boss as Samus is on top of it, punching it, shooting it, doing whatever, but you maintain interactivity throughout, so you can just hammer the missile button or whatever, just shooting this thing in the face while the whole sequence plays out. It just looks absolutely incredible, and I love that we're getting this in a Nintendo game. You're sort of getting shades of what Sony are known for, or what bigger, you know, AAA blockbuster stuff is known for, and it's the perfect addition to what Metroid already does, better than everybody else anyway. So for me, it was the first time I triggered one of them. It was in the Kraid fight, I think it was the first one I did, but the Experiment Z57 one is the best. That's just full on God of War. You know, you're like riding this thing's face, and it's like banging off the sides of this different facility trying to get you off, and Samus is just clinging on. Every single second of that game was immaculate, and nowhere near enough people played it, did they, Josh Brown? You probably should get on that, mate.
You're riding its face and it's trying to get you off.
The game I want to talk about is a game which, again, I just about 100% did, but actually really loved. It was Hades.
There he is.
Which, okay, you know, Hades came out in 2018.
Not on consoles.
It's all the endgame stuff in Hades. It's got all these tiny little extra heartwarming tales, which I think I got to the end of all of them, including sort of the big party of all the gods. But it's some of the smaller ones that really got me. And going through a few of them, you know, there's when you find Sisyphus and his boulder in the first area, you know, and you gradually bond with him and then learn that he's come to enjoy pushing his boulder up that hill forever, and he's made friends with his boulder. It's called Baldy.
It's got a little face.
It has got a little face, and when you talk to it, it just replies a little ellipsis. But the absolute best one is when you get up to Elysium, sort of shortly before you fight Theseus. I think, is it Theseus? Theseus and the Minotaur? He's that horrible sort of bronzed blonde tosser, isn't he? But you meet Patroclus, you know, who
Patroclus?
Patroclus? I'm sure it's Patroclus.
I don't know.
So you meet Patroclus, who was Achilles' boyfriend, wasn't he? And he's been separated from Achilles for, you know, eternity, because Achilles is down there, you know, having to work for Hades, and Patroclus is without him, and he's lonely, and you meet him and he's really crestfallen. And all the characters have these wonderful little character portraits as well, you know. Really, really detailed, incredible, also very sexy character portraits. But Patroclus, he's sort of sat there, and he's sat a bit like me.
He's just put 200 hours into Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
He's just put 200 hours into Assassin's Creed Valhalla, yeah. And he's just sort of looking like this. He's not even making eye contact with you. And eventually, you can get all the way down this quest line, and you can release Achilles from his contract with Hades, and he is then able to go and visit Patroclus. So then you get through Elysium, and there they are, and they're together again. And Patroclus's entire demeanor has just changed, and he's really grateful. And he's so happy with you for having reunited him with Achilles. But the best thing about it is that his character portrait goes from this kind of sad, hunched little guy to this lad he's standing really tall and proud and like looking over to the side really lovingly. It just like hit us in a way that like very little has done in gaming before. It was what made Hades such a special piece of work. Its attention to detail and its writing just really warmed my heart, and I was so pleased for Patroclus. I didn't like to see him so lonely, and there he was with his love again, and it just made me feel so good. Merry Christmas, everyone.